Hola clase otra vez. This time we're going to be going over part A of your midterm review. I'm going to do it in sections. What I'm first going to do is show you the answers to each section. If your answers are correct, you obviously know what you're doing and you can move on to the next video. If you need an explanation, it will be given to you. If you need to pause the video, please pause it. If you need to re-listen to something, please re-listen to it. So, first I'm going to go over numbers 1 through 3 and then 4 through 7. But let me remind you before that anytime you say is or are, you need to ask yourself ser or estar. And to decide between the two, look at your reasons for ser, and if you're having trouble with it, perhaps list them in a small spot on your midterm note card. Here are your reasons to use ser if you're discussing possession, relatively permanent characteristics like physical description, so on and so forth. You guys can read, here are your reasons to use ser. Or perhaps your reasons to use estar. So if it's one of these things, please make sure that you use estar. And again, if you have trouble remembering them, put them on your note card. So let's look at numbers 1 through 3. Here are your answers for 1 through 3. Let me get these out of the way. Go ahead and look at them. If you are correct, awesome. If you need an explanation, it will be given to you in a moment. Go ahead and pause to check your answers. Let me show your answers for 4 through 7. Here are your answers for 4 through 7. Please check them carefully. If you understand your mistakes, fine. If not, they will be explained momentarily. Go ahead and press pause, check your answers. I'm going to go into the explanations now. Okay, back to 1 through 3. 1 through 3, I have them grouped together because they all discuss possession. And it just so happens that if you're discussing possession, look right there, you use ser. And you also will be using possessive adjectives. You guys have notes that look like these that have possessive adjectives. And how do you say these things? They're in your notes. If you want to reread this, press pause. And let's look at number 1. Okay, my parents are not your parents, they are mine. Mis has to be plural to match parents. No son tus padres. Ellos son los míos. The stuff that's in parentheses you can have, but you also can leave it out. Míos is plural because it has to match parents. Number 2, your folder is not her folder, it is yours. Okay, tu carpeta no es su carpeta, or perhaps you had la carpeta de ella. That would work as well for this right here. But for it is yours, you need es la tuya because it's matching folder. And for this one, our niece isn't their niece, she is ours. Nuestra sobrina no es su sobrina, ella es la nuestra. Or in this part here, instead of su sobrina, you could have said la sobrina de ellos. Let me go into some further explanation of these topics for those of you that need it. Possessive adjectives go with a noun. So if you're saying my something, your something, his or her something, and so on and so forth, these words are followed by a noun. If, however, you are taking out the noun, and you're just saying these words here, you then need your possessive pronouns. And as it states in your notes, possessive pronouns have 2 parts, the el, la, los, or las, and then mio would be changed to mios, mias, or mia, and they have to match the noun, not the person in number and gender. And you guys have the notes on this as well. Can the article ever be left out? Like, can you ever leave out the el or the la, los, or las? Yes, you can, but only if you're using it after ser. So in these examples, I've got ser, so I could leave out the los. Can I have it? Yes, you can. So, I didn't mean to highlight that. Here's ser. You could get rid of the article. When in doubt, use it. Again, if that wasn't a good enough explanation, please refer to your notes. I'm going to go ahead and talk about 4, 5, 6, and 7. They all deal with comparatives, making comparisons. The studious grandsons are stronger than. If you remember from your comparative notes, there is no way, let me find the right ones, to say blanker in Spanish. You have to say more or less blank than. Therefore, los nietos estudiosos son más fuertes que. Why are we using ser in this one? Because strength is a relatively permanent characteristic. And don't forget, when you're describing something, if we say black cat in English, we say cat black. So that's why studious grandsons is now grandsons studious. All right, the lazy siblings are as calm as the thin godparents. This time we're saying as blank as. How do you say as blank as? Tan blank como. It's in your notes under comparisons of equality to say as blank as. It's tan blank como. Okay, number 6. The single cousins weigh more than the married aunts and uncles. That has to do a lot with vocab. We're just saying weigh more than. And for aunts and uncles, you can just say los tíos. If you said y las tías, or you switch those two around, that's fine. And number 7, the fat babies are as happy as the husbands and wives. Don't forget that your adjectives always have to match who they are describing in number and gender. So that's why it's los bebés gordos and contentos. And in this case, solteros to match primos, perezosos to match hermanos, and so on and so forth. Don't forget your adjectives have to match. I guess there is one more thing I should talk about, my choices between Ser and Estar. Again, this sentence uses son because it's a relatively permanent characteristic, but in number 5, being calm is a feeling or emotion, so I need to use a star. And this one does not use Ser or Estar, but I had to conjugate pesar for my subject. And in number 7, I used a star again because happy is a feeling or emotion. So don't forget, anytime you say is or are, you have to ask yourself ser or a star. And if you're not saying is or are, you still have to have at least one conjugated verb in your sentence for it to be complete. All right, video 1 is done.